every polystyrene styrofoam packaging unit that was ever produced still remains somewhere on the landfills because it's 500 years there.
That's Julia Bialecka, CEO and co-founder of S-Lab. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. Hi there, my name is Eric Harlock, and this episode is part 6 of my coverage of the 23rd Annual European Industrial Hemp Association Conference held this year at the Institute of Natural Fibers and Medicinal Plants in Poznan, Poland. We're going to hear my conversation with Julia Bialecka right after these messages. My trip to Poland, my trip to the European Industrial Hemp Association Conference in Poznan, Poland, was made possible with generous support from a coalition of sponsors. Organizations made up of people who value the work we do here at Lancaster Farming, at the newspaper, and here on the Industrial Hemp Podcast. And they thought it was important for me, Eric, to be there, to go to this conference, to be on the ground there in Poland, to talk to people, to be present. Because part of my job here on the podcast is to be a witness to the birth of an industry. And I am deeply grateful for the opportunity. And so it is with deep gratitude I want to recognize our sponsors. Thank you to HEMI, the Hemp Education and Marketing Initiative, and their campaign, The Goodness of Hemp. I see the goodness of hemp all around me. The goodness of hemp has changed my life, and I believe it can change yours too. There's a coalition building. Go to thegoodnessofhemp.org and see what's cooking there. Much gratitude also to Bish Enterprises in Giltner, Nebraska, home of the Fiber Cut, a hydraulically driven hemp harvesting system that cuts faster, cleaner, and smarter than anything else on the market. Purpose-built for hemp and tall biomass crops, starting at 80 horsepower. Learn more at bishenterprise.com/fibercut. Thanks to 1937 International. 1937 International is a USA-based global industrial hemp production and manufacturing organization. Learn more at 1937international.com. And big thanks to Condor Seed. Condor Seed is a seed production company out of Summerton, Arizona, with over 40 years' experience growing high-quality vegetable and specialty seed. They're not new to seed. They are new to hemp, and they're coming in strong, working with Cornell Agritech. Condor just released Ursa Alta, a new low-THC fiber cultivar that consistently tests around 0.02% THC. Long fiber for textiles like denim, woody hurd for insulation and animal bedding, whole plant fiber done right. Find them at condorseed.com. All right, so Julia Bialecka is a Polish entrepreneur and co-founder of S-Lab, which is short for Sustainable Laboratory. She's based in Spain, where she's using hemp and mycelium to replace polystyrene packaging. Her customers include L'Oreal and Nespresso, and she's just getting started. Here's Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia, CEO and co-founder of S-Lab. At S-Lab, we've developed patented technology to produce sustainable packaging using hemp and mycelium. And now we are scaling further to the decentralized system of the mini factories around the world, and we already piloted with large corporations, providing them our packaging.
That's amazing. So do you use other agricultural waste besides hemp?
Actually, we started with hemp and historically has been using hemp mainly, but we actually had to try other types of the plant waste, and we've been using linen a lot because obviously it's more available in Europe, or at least there where we are. We are producing in Spain right now, so we are sourcing both hemp and linen there in Spain. But we tested with other types of the plant waste as well. But hemp actually has antibacterial properties that helps our mycelium to grow better.
So it performs better than other agricultural waste as a substrate?
Yeah, in this sense, yes. The antibacterial properties, and also it is stronger than others, so it does help us in our final product in the packaging.
Okay. Where are you sourcing your hemp, and is supply consistency an issue, especially given that you're producing in Spain, but hemp processing infrastructure in Europe is still pretty fragmented?
It's yes and no. I mean, we were able to secure the supply or suppliers for the amount, the capacity that we have at the moment. But as we envisioned further scaling, I think it will become a challenge. And I think for us, it's not the only challenge is to get hemp in the amounts that we need, but also to get the fraction, the size of the hemp shives that we need, because normally they are bigger. We need 3-4 millimeters, and not every processor of hemp can provide that. So yeah, I obviously echo on that comment that market is very segmented, and oftentimes it's really hard to get to those hemp producers. So I'm glad to be here at the AHA conference where we can get in touch with those. So that's also one of our goals, to build a very strong network of the suppliers, as again, we are looking into global perspective and we want to have suppliers everywhere.
Can you describe the product to me?
So it is a packaging material that is very similar to polystyrene or expanded plastic that is used as lodgements, cushioning, protective packaging for electronics, fashion, decor. So we do exactly the same thing that in terms of the properties. So our packaging is durable, strong, waterproof, thermal insulating. But since we do it with only 2 plant-based components, after the usage, it will fully biodegrade in just 30 days without any trace.
I love that so much. Every time my family buys anything and it comes in the packaging and it's got all of that styrofoam, polystyrene, it makes me so angry. And you can't do anything with it but throw it away. But it's so awkward. You have to break it up to get it into the trash can, and then you've got those little bits everywhere. So on behalf of the world, I thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And to be honest, that's also my pain, this squeaky, annoying material then, just everywhere. And then when you are unpacking the product, you expect the great experience of the product, but instead you just get so annoyed with all of that waste and squeaky sound, and then how you need to actually throw it away. And it's even worse, none of that is recycled. It all goes to landfills. So every polystyrene, styrofoam packaging unit that was ever produced still remains somewhere on the landfills, because it's 500 years there.
Do you think the companies that are selling those products should have any responsibility for the end of life of the trash that they foist upon us?
Yeah, definitely. They should be kept responsible for that and should reply to that. But you know what? Is that we actually are working with a couple of polystyrene, styrofoam packaging companies who want to switch to the new materials. Obviously, they still produce polystyrene because there are customers who will buy it, and I think it will be for many, many more years. But these companies, they already see the interest from their customers and their own desire to switch to something new, and they are partnering with us. So we provide our solution to their customers. So they are actually already, not all of them, but many, are looking into the future already and understanding the consequences of their material.
That's good. So you have a patented automated production system. How does hemp fit into that automation? And does the variability in agricultural waste from season to season create any manufacturing challenges?
Yeah, I mean, we have seasonal issues not only with hemp, but with mycelium, even though we recultivate mycelium at our own laboratory, so it's not from the nature, but still the season they affect how mycelium grows. So in autumn we get a higher yield of mycelium, but then in the winter a lower yield of the mycelium. So it's not only about hemp, it's also about mycelium. So anything that has to do with being natural is more challenging to work with. And about our production, so we have developed, among other things, the effective sterilization process. So we sterilize hemp before using it, before mixing it with mycelium, to make sure that there are no other bacteria, no other fungus that will, conflict with our mycelium. So we develop our sterilization process that takes only 15 minutes instead of 48 hours, the standard process.
Can you describe that process?
In short, it's like the continuous sterilization process where hemp is being moved through the system of screws and pipes while it's being sterilized. So normally it's just stable process where you take the chunk of the hemp, you put into the big machine that is called autoclave, you do the autoclaving, you wait 24 hours, you need to cool it down, then you do another sterilization and wait another 24 hours. And we are doing this in just one continuous process in 15 minutes.
Wow. Who are your customers right now? And are any of them coming to you specifically because they want hemp in their supply chain, or is the hemp mostly invisible to them?
Interesting question. So mainly our customers are from beauty, self-care, electronics, fashion, and decor industries. Some of the big names are L'Oreal, Nespresso, and JTI that we work with. We had some pilots with them. And right now we're also working with some other smaller, medium business-sized companies. Again, different industries. And I would say, to be honest, that probably hemp is an invisible part for them. Because I don't know why, but historically our material has been called mycelium-based packaging. And that's the main sort of message to those customers. And when they ask us, they sort of explain our packaging, our solution as mycelium-based. So they all know about mycelium. And I think because it's sort of cool that is made out of mushrooms, something so interesting. But every time on every meeting, we actually explain that 90% of our packaging, it is actually hemp, and only 10% is mycelium, and it acts like a glue. So at the end, we always sort of educate our customers that it is mainly consists of hemp.
Can you describe sort of how those two ingredients work together and the mycelium becomes the glue? Like, just give me a basic understanding.
Yeah, in the very simple words is that hemp has cellulose, and mycelium sort of eats this cellulose. And once they are mixed together, mycelium starts to consume the cellulose, and this allows mycelium to start growing. And mycelium grows with a rapid system of nets, almost like a spider binding the fly. That something similar happens, that mycelium binds plant waste, like the hemp shives, together and keeps it all together.
And hemp is the right thing to use? Like, that's better than other agricultural waste?
Yes, because of the, again, antibacterial properties, the strength. And for us, all of our processes were tested with hemp. So obviously, it's not a lot of adjustment, but if we switch to something different, it is some kind of adjustment. And we also got certification of our material. It is called home compost. So it is proves that our packaging can actually be home composted. So you don't need to throw it into the, this industrial composting or anything. It just can be garden, organic bin. And when we were doing the certification, we had to provide what types of the material we use, the name of the suppliers, and so on and so on. So we have certification for specifically using hemp and mycelium.
How would you describe your company now? Are you in startup mode, or are you further along?
I think we are still at the startup mode right now, but there is some changes coming. So we are working towards closing our seed round, that is 2.5 million euros. And we have commitment for the whole round, but obviously until money is in the bank account, it's not fully closed yet. So we are still open for some conversations, strategic partners, investors. But I think with this, with closing this round, we are definitely going to go for the scale and become a scale up at that point.
Excellent. So people out there might see your products in more products, yeah?
Yeah, actually, my dream is that one day I go to the grocery shop, to the cosmetics shop, and I see most of the products packed into our material.
I love that for you. Where can people learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, go to our website s.lab.bio, s-lab.bio. Go to LinkedIn, S-Lab, find my name. I'm very visible in the social media, so you can just follow me, follow our company, follow our progress, shoot me an email, a message. I'll be happy to respond.
Excellent. What does the S stand for?
Sustainable. And laboratory.
All right. Julia, thank you so much. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
That was Julia Bialecka, CEO and co-founder of S-Lab. You can learn more at s-lab.bio. My name is Eric Herlock. I am the senior digital editor here at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. We're based here in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, in the heart of Lancaster County. Oh, hey, remember in the movie The Matrix when the kid told Neo that there was no spoon? That the only way to free your mind was to understand that the Matrix itself wasn't real. So if you want to bend the spoon, you don't try to bend the spoon. You realize that there is no spoon, and you bend yourself instead. Well, in the next episode, coming up, episode 7 of my coverage of the trip to Poland, we're going to meet an American economist and entrepreneur by the name of Bo Whitney, for whom there very much is a spoon.
So I had a hemp-based spoon developed for me, and every time I would speak, I'd wave it around and I'd be talking about hemp, and people at the end of my speech is like, what the hell's up with that spoon?
All right, until next time, nie ma whisky I dziękuję za wysłuchanie. Ciao.
This episode of The Hemp Show was written, recorded, and produced by Eric Herlock. Mixing and mastering by Justin Berger. Music by Eric Herlock. The Hemp Show is copyright 2026 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family.